Hello, hello, hello. Mm.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And welcome to our third parent support group. So we just invite those who are with us currently and those who will be joining. KJ's Genesis is hosting a parent support group the second Thursday of every month. This month, we're excited about our topic. We're going to be talking about how to show love to the neurodivergent community, right? So that's inclusive of family, friends, people you may work with, or just people in your community that you're familiar with who may be on the autistic spectrum or who may have some other type of neurodivergence. We want to identify ways to show them love, to show them acceptance, and just a level of support. So we're really excited about that today. Do you want to say hey to everybody?
Hello, everyone.
Huh?
Good afternoon. It is afternoon. Yes, it's 12 o'clock.
Yep.
Good afternoon.
All right, so we're going to start our PowerPoint presentation, but certainly as we share, we are open to any input or ideas or testimonials that you would like to share. So you can raise your hand or just remove your mic off of mute, and we will definitely attend to you. I want to make sure that we are recording. Yes, we are recording. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, we're going to start from the top. Okay. Showing love to the neurodivergent community. So within this particular month, I identified some pictures of KJ, who's our son, but certainly I do want to invite everyone who's joining. If you have pictures, if you have videos that you want to share, if you have testimonials that you would like to share, we will post them on our web page and just really emphasize the importance of showing love to our children, our loved ones, and our family members. So this particular month, I just personalized with our photos, but we would love to just really emphasize examples of showing reciprocity of love with you and your family as well. So please keep that in mind. Okay, so we did adapt some of the ways of showing love from Gary Chapman, his five love languages. He communicates them from a romantic perspective, but I think that it's effective just in our communication with our loved ones in general, but certainly in our communication with our neurodivergent family members. And so the first one that I wanted to tap into is words of affirmation. Here's an example of my husband and I with KJ when we had taken him to receive some support at a facility in Pennsylvania at the Institute for the Achievement of Human Potential. For those of you who are in the Delaware Valley area, it's an excellent program. It's known as IAHP, the Institute for the Achievement of Human Potential, and they gave us a lot of helpful supportive information. But here it says positively affirming our special people. We don't always say special needs. Sometimes we just say special people can make the world of difference. I just noticed that sometimes when I'm talking to KJ and just maybe asking him to do something or giving him an instruction, his whole face will light up when I'm speaking in a hyper way or in a joyous way, like KJ, come here. And it's like he'll look at me like, wait, like, are you playing with me? Are you joking with me? And so just the way that we speak can take away the monotony sometimes. Sometimes it can feel like, okay, let's get ready for school. When he comes home from school, let's come in and get settled. It can just feel like ho hum. But when it's like, hey, what's up, guy? He becomes engaged, you become engaged, and it takes away from sometimes the boredom, sometimes the weight or the heaviness of it, and it creates an atmosphere of joy, of acceptance, and celebration. So just really like speaking positive words like good job, awesome, you're terrific, you really tried hard with that, son, good job, high five, and then incorporated with that whatever positive system of praise that you may have. Sometimes it might be stickers, or it might be a token system that you have within your home, or that you've adapted at his school, his or her school. So, whatever other ways to affirm them as it pertains to maybe a token system or stickers or some type of way of positive reinforcement, the words are a big deal. Did you want to chime into that, honey?
Yeah.
Mhm,
Well, I agree with that. I think a lot of times KJ can get anxious. And when he gets anxious, he tries to calm himself. One of the ways he tries to calm himself is he'll, I guess, speak how he's feeling,
mhm,
or to communicate how he's feeling at the time. So the way I affirm him is I say, hey big guy, like you did a good job, big guy.
mhm,
Um, when he's around me and he's like trying to self-calm, excuse me,
mhm. Sorry.
when he's around me and he's trying to self-calm, he'll say, hey big guy, he'll repeat those words of affirmation. So I always try to continue to affirm him, even when we're out and I know that he's feeling nervous. I'll say, it's okay, big guy. Good job. So the words that I use, he says those words back to me, and a lot of times it communicates to me where he is. So I know sometimes he calms himself down with just the same words of affirmation. He gives those words back to me. So I know that those words are very important, and he uses them to calm down as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's absolutely true. It's almost like a self-talk that he's communicating. So, like my husband's saying, he'll say, "Hey, goodbye, hey, big guy." It's almost saying what he wants to hear you say, right? And so, in the same way, like when KJ is at school, they say "good job" a lot. So when he comes home, he says, "Good job, good job." So it's like that throughout that day, he was hearing good job, and by that same token he was wanting to hear you say good job, or even he's telling himself good job. So it's like, a lot of times, the word says, whatsoever man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And as we teach our children to adapt a positive sense of self, it helps them to feel better about themselves and not only lean into their areas of difference, because KJ is very sensitive and he knows that he is different. So when he's able to acknowledge
Not a
his
fan.
difference, but by that same token, feel good about himself despite his difference, right? Then that's an area of strength that we really want him to develop. Also voice intonations. I thought this was a big thing. The way we speak and the tone in which we communicate can communicate love. And so I think that's a biggie. It can communicate, and I pinpointed 4 points that we'll tap into more later. But patience, understanding, empathy, and accountability. Those are big ones. And those are major areas that I've had to learn, just as a parent in general, but certainly as the parent of a child who is neurodivergent. And so just the way that we speak, like if I say, okay, KJ, come on, let's get up, especially that first communication in the morning, it like sets the tone for the day. So if I'm coming in, sweetly and kind, like, KJ, good morning. Come on, let's go, big guy. If I'm communicating in that way, then he's more apt to be calm, especially if he don't feel like getting up. So when I have that welcoming presence, it's like, okay, I really don't feel like getting up, but she's being so nice to me. Let me just go ahead, So it's our tone. And even sometimes when KJ can be heightened for long periods, if we maintain calm for, I'd say give a good 2 to 3 minutes. And when you're waiting that period of time, it can feel like a small eternity, right? But if you give it a 2 to 3 minutes and that child or young adult may be tantruming, if you stay calm, if you wait them out, they'll come back down. They'll come back down versus you meeting them, which I've been guilty of. And he's yelling, and so I'm yelling at him. And so we're both yelling and it's not effective. He's getting frustrated, I'm getting frustrated. It's just upsetting the household, right? But if we're able to maintain that calm regardless of what's going on, then he's able to calm down, or she, is able to calm down and be able to kind of share what's going on with them. Yeah. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share at this point?
Oh, sorry. You want to hear something?
Okay, so we're going to go on to quality time. You want a quality time. Yeah, this is this is little KJ and Jen. So this is when they were at the park. This has always been one of the things that they've loved to do. But I just wanted to pinpoint that the time that we spend with our children and family members is irretrievable. We must be intentional about our time investments, right? And so just spending that time, when we wake up and we're like, KJ, let's go out, to the park. And of course, that would be like on a Saturday or whenever there's vacation, let's do something that you like. It's like he loves that. When we do an activity that he enjoys, it can be blowing bubbles. It can be water play. He used to love water play. It can be just doing various events. He really enjoys that. And so it causes him to feel like I'm important, right? Like I'm special, like you value me as much as I value you. And so there are times when he wants to spend time and we can't do it. Like we have to say, son, today you're going to school today. But when we are able to invest that time, whether it's like a Saturday morning or Friday evening or a few hours after school, then that time is something that he can kind of hold on to and feel like, dad gave me attention, mom gave me attention, or his siblings, like he really enjoys them. And that's why I use this example of Jen and KJ playing when they were younger. Like, sibling affirmation and sibling engagement can bring levels of healing too. And it communicates that I love you because, despite the fact that there's so many differences that they have, there are a lot of points of likeness that they have, and really leaning into those areas where there's sameness, where they're able to relate, causes for the barriers of separation to be dismantled and for oneness to come into play more. Yeah, so that quality time is a big deal. You want to share on that?
Yeah. Well, quality time.
Yeah.
I think the word patience is something that we definitely need to focus on, because spending quality time with them is, to me, it's a little different from spending quality time with, my 7-year-old, like Israel,
Neurotypical.
neurotypical. So um, when he wants to do something, he's very articulate. He knows exactly what he wants to do, when he wants to do it. With KJ, it's more of you have to figure out what he wants to do, but he loves spending quality time. But there's times where sometimes he don't want to be bothered. There's sometimes where I think he want to spend quality time, and I'm like, come on, big guy, let's play. And he's like, space, please, space, please. Like there's times where he really don't want to be bothered and he wants his space, and I respect that. That's not most times, but that's sometimes, and I don't want that to be a point of anger, or that to be a trigger to cause him to go off or to have a tantrum. But a lot of times when he wants to play, he's like, he loves to be tickled, right? So quality time for him is tickle please. So I'll tickle him, and when I tickle him, he runs away and he wants me to chase him. And I'm getting up there a little bit, so
Not yet. Not
I
yet.
don't have the same energy. His energy is off the hook. His energy is like no child I've ever met. He can run fast, and he has a lot of energy. So he wants me to chase him around. He wants me to run after him. He wants me to try to tickle him. And he's strong. So when I'm tickling him, he's grabbing my arms and I gotta sort of wrestle with him. So I mean it's a sight to see. But it's a quality investment. It's a good way to show him love. For him, that's one of his love languages. When I tickle him, when I chase him around, that's one of the ways that I broke down certain barriers between us, was to show him that I love you and I'm willing to take the time to play with you the way that you want to play, because sometimes I'll stop. Like, I'm tired right now. I don't feel like chasing you. And he's persistent until I come and I say, okay, so I don't feel like it, but I'm going to take the time to do it for you. And that's my way of showing him that I love him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you made a good point there, honey, where you said that sometimes he may not want to engage physically, but just us being in his presence, right? So there are times when he'll say, he wants to go to his room and be to himself, but there are times when he just wants to be in our common area together. And I think that's something to be mindful of, that there are times we just want to be near our loved ones. We may not want to have a conversation necessarily. We just want to be next to you and near you. So being mindful of that. I think that's great that honey, you're in tune to when he wants that engagement and when he just wants to be in our physical presence, which is common of teenagers. And KJ is a teenager. He's 16. He'll be 17 in July. Feels like the time has really flown by, but yeah, so that's something to be mindful of as well. Yeah. Does anyone want to share or have a question at this time?
I do have a question.
Yes.
So the special children in my life,
Mhm.
I have, like most children in this generation, I've noticed that tablets have been their number one. So sometimes when you want to engage in a quality time or you want to encourage playtime off of the tablet, like what are some ways that we can do that without like setting them off or feel like they're being punished? Because my former friend whose son is autistic, that's all he wanted to do was just watch TV or be on his tablet, and not really get physically active. So how can we promote physical activity and quality time versus just letting them check out in their own world on a tablet?
That's an excellent question, Daphne. I'm so happy that you posed that. I think that it's something that has to be inculcated within the culture of the home. So, like I was saying, on Saturday mornings, we would just get up and go out. Like, the bio health is something that is extremely healthy for just all of our children, but particularly children on the spectrum, as far as the stimulation, just the trees, the oxygen that we're getting from the trees, being able to have the open space to be able to move around. It's a form of healing in and of itself. Like, the word says that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And there is so much healing that's available to us when we just take advantage of the beauty of the earth. So that's one component. If they're socialized to be outside and just kind of run around and, like, throw a frisbee, or bubbles is really good with children on the spectrum. Sometimes they like, there's like this putty play that they have. There's Play-Doh, but then there's also play putty, and the play putty has different textures. One is really soft, one is medium, and one is a little rougher. And it kind of helps them kind of have something to kind of pull on, and it also engages them in a manner that's sensory. So I think when there's a level of engagement that's incorporated within the culture of the home, then it doesn't feel like it's a punishment. And I think also if it can be structured into their day for certain time frames. So say, for example, if, regularly on Saturday mornings, you get up, you do, your time outside from maybe 10 to 11, right? You come home, have your lunch together, and then maybe from 12 to 1, okay, this is your special time, but then after that, you're going to get off, that kind of thing. It makes it more easy for them to transition on and off. With children on the spectrum and who are neurodivergent, structure is very key. So it's important to incorporate that so that they're aware, okay, this is something that I'm doing. I'm going to look forward to this. And then after that, I can look forward to, playing with dad or playing with mom or auntie or whomever, because that's something that we do, as opposed to, oh, you're taking my tablet from me and you usually let me play on it, so you must be upset. You know what I mean? And at first it may be different, right? Because you're incorporating something that they're not used to. But as you begin to have a pattern of consistency with that, then they know, okay, this is something that we do. I'm not being punished. it's just important to have fun with family. It's important to not be limited to an electronic device, whether it's a tablet, an iPad, there's more to life than just being on my phone or my tablet. So that's an excellent point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think patience again goes into that because you have to take time to learn your child. If you know them well enough, then you'll know, like I said with KJ, sometimes he really just don't want to be bothered. And I don't want that to be a trigger for him to have a tantrum. If the child is really engaged with the tablet, and you try to take that away and you see that it's not going in your favor, then have patience, and then you can try it again. You're like, sometimes, KJ is not a big fan of being in the cold. He loves being outside, but he don't love being in the cold or in the wind. So I'll check, to see where he is. And it was snowing. It was cold out. It was snowing. And little guy wanted to go out, of course, and run, play in the snow and have fun. And KJ is looking at me like, what are we doing?
He does not like
So I took him outside and he's like, go inside, go inside. And I'm like, no, it's snowing out, So I let him watch the snow and he observed for a little while. And then he saw the snow and it snow interested him. And then he said, it's snowing. I think we had a video with that. It was snow day. And he went outside and I picked up the snow and I started throwing it around and he started to engage and he got involved. He picked up the snow. He threw a little bit of snow. I got him to get on the snowboard and slide down the hill, the sled. And he was cool, but after a while, I know him well enough to know, okay, this is enough, because after he gets to a certain point, he's like, okay, that's enough. Now I want to go inside, and the tone, the voice intonation and thing like that. I know him well enough to say, okay, it's time, he's had enough. So I think just learning your child and knowing when enough is enough. And like wife said, just incorporating that on a regular basis, I think the child won't be so engaged with the tablet to the point where you don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think the other piece is that sometimes what they have, like on their tablets or on the television, can really be engaging. So there's certain songs that KJ really taps into. I think I mentioned this on our previous video, how it's a form of healing for him. And so there's certain songs where they'll have like specific dances or specific moves that will actually engage with him. So we'll try to use sometimes the television as a means of communication between us, because we're able to sing and dance together. We're able to engage together and play together. And sometimes even that can turn into play and engagement. So I think it just takes a level of creativity and like Jamar was saying, studying your child and knowing where to set boundaries and set limits and knowing where it's okay. There's certain programs that I just feel are just not good. Like if I see something that I feel is demonic, then I'll just turn it off. And it may upset him. So I'll replace it with something that I know is good. Now, in his mind, he might be thinking, why'd you do that? Now, I know why I did that, but I may not go into full explanation. So what I'll just do is turn it on to something else that he likes. But certainly that piece of engagement is so key. So we thank you so much for bringing up that point, Daphne. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Okay, we'll go on.
Maybe
Yes.
not a question, but I think it's important because we are also afflicted by the but guilty even of having our tablets or our phones ourselves. So in spending time with our kids, what I've learned to do is at the same moment that I'm taking it away from him, I'm showing him that I'm putting my phone away as well, and that we're bonding into an activity like reading or even watching a movie together, just so that we're both disconnected and present during the time that we're spending together. I think that has helped my son a lot as well, understanding that it's not a punishment, but it's just an opportunity to have time together.
Yes, I love that comment, Rose. Absolutely. And I concur with that, that we're kind of mirroring what we're expecting them to do,
Right.
and not, texting while we're kind of engaging with them. Like, you know what, son, you
Hmm.
are absolutely right. You know what, daughter, you are absolutely right. So I thank you for that point. Very well said. Yes. So we'll go on to the next slide. And this one is acts of service. This one is acts of service. Identified this photo, which is a picture of Jamar and KJ. They actually have the same shirt on, just different color. And yeah, I just felt like their engagement that day, it was just a lot going on. We had actually gone to see a family member, and we were just kind of hanging out. We had gone to church and we were waiting for the food to be cooked, and it took like forever, it felt like. And so sometimes those days can really be hard on our son, right? And so, with a neurotypical child, it can be they'll just chill out, they'll kind of hang out, maybe play on the iPads, like you guys have mentioned, with our cousins, our family members. But KJ is feeling claustrophobic. He's like, listen, I don't know these people like that. I love them, but not for like 4 or 5 hours. This is a lot. So, we took a couple of walks. It was just a lot. And so that day, Jamar just kind of sat in the car with KJ while the food was being prepared, because it was like a special day. It was like a special birthday for a family member. And we didn't want to leave. And it was like an hour, some change from the house. And so it was just a lot of service that day. We just had to do a lot. It was a lot of preparation to go to the place that we were going. It was a lot of breakdown and transition to leave from that place. And so it just helps when we're just mindful of their needs. And what I said here is, when assisting special family members with assisted daily living goals, ADLs, and that's just, the regular day-to-day activities that they may need assistance with. It can be challenging if they're nonverbal and don't traditionally communicate appreciation, right? And sometimes in those places, particularly if our children deal with any level of anxiety, it may come with a level of pressure and stress. And sometimes our children can be maybe a little demanding and a little forceful, because there's an anxiety that if you don't help me or if you don't support me, then I'm not going to get this need met. And sometimes I try to put myself in KJ's shoes, and I'm thinking, of the responsibility associated with assisting him. And I think to myself, like, how would I feel if I had to wait for someone to assist me with bathing? Or if I had to wait for someone to get my food for me. And so we try to assist KJ to be independent. He does toilet independently, but with bathing, we use hand over hand. And oftentimes he loves to bathe. Like he'll say, shower, please. You know what I mean? And so, that's one of the ways that we've assisted him, is to teach him manners, right? So that it makes it easier with whomever has to assist him. At one point we've had skilled care nurses. Right now it's just predominantly us, but whoever assists our special people, that they feel a level of affirmation, even if it isn't directly from our children, from us, because with the pressures that we experience, sometimes we can just feel like, just overwhelmed. And that can come across in how we communicate with those who assist us. And so if we are having an attitude of gratitude that says, we appreciate, your investment. And even though it is a job where you're getting paid, we appreciate the services that you render to our child and our family member. And we value your presence as being a part of our support community. I think it increases the level of morale, and it increases the level of just joy that a person can have in coming to a home where the family is appreciative versus where they're demanding and entitled. So that's something that we're always kind of working on. I wanted to give you a chance to kind of testify about what happened the other day when he said thank you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I think one of the challenges with KJ is feeling like there's always a need, but there's really not much appreciation. So, we spend a large part of the day making sure that his needs are met, trying to figure out what it is that he really wants, Um, and it feels sometimes it's overwhelming because it's like, man, you have all of these needs, like, like give me a break. But the other day I was getting him ready for school in the morning. So there's a lot of steps, there's different medications. He gets a G-tube feed. We're showering him and all of these things, and the bus is coming at a certain time. So we're working on the clock and getting his food together. He may be thin. I know you see the picture. He's thin, but he eats, man. He eats like a bodybuilder, so we have to prepare like 2, 3 meals just for him to go to school with. So in doing all of that and then getting him ready on the bus. And then when I get him on the bus and I have to, put his harness on and all of these steps. And when I got him on the bus, I think he saw, well, first of all, it's not the norm because mom does it all the time. So it's a little different. Dad does things a little different than mom. But I think he had an appreciation for just me trying to serve him and trying to just accommodate him in the morning. And when I got him on the bus, before I can get him in his seat, he said, "Can I have a hug, please?" And I said, "Sure," so I gave him a hug. And then he sat down, I clipped him in the seat, the buckle and the belt and stuff. And before I got off the bus, he just looked at me and he said, "Thank you." And usually when he says something, he'll end it with please. Mom taught him well, so he says please after almost everything he says, but he says, "Thank you, please." And when he said that to me, I mean, nobody forced him to say that. That was something that he said on his own, and it communicated to me that he appreciated all of the things that I did for him that morning. And a lot of times, I tell all of my kids, I do a lot for you guys. I spend a lot of money on you guys. I'm not asking for the money back in return. I'm just asking for appreciation. When it's all said and done, just say thank you. Just show me a level of appreciation like, "Dad, you know what? I really thank you for what you do because, I do this as unto the Lord. Our children are a blessing from the Lord, and we're stewarding over them. But it's definitely comforting and it's motivating when you hear some gratitude and just a thank you. So I was blessed by that. And I came in the house and I was tearing up and my wife was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, just that one word, just that thank you. It meant the world to me.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just good when you can have a level of appreciation from your children. And I think just the humanity that our neurodivergent children experience and feel, sometimes we can feel like there's a disconnect. But it's so good when we can just recognize that they do appreciate us. And I love when, KJ's communication is not communicated through the anxiety, but it's just plainly, "I appreciate you." And that was a connection, that was the bond, that was the love that was reciprocated from one to the other. And I put there loving them and serving them with no expectations, right? Because when we do what we do for our children, we have to do it without expectation. I'm fine. He's getting me tissue. I'm fine. But we have to do it without expectation. But it's such a blessing when our children can show appreciation. The word says children are a blessing from the Lord, and blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. And so, oftentimes we don't anticipate them having a special need. And then when they have a special need, it's like, how do I help prepare them for the life that God has created them for? How do I enable them to enjoy this process? How do I enjoy them? Because it's different. And I've just been learning throughout this journey that different doesn't mean that it's not rewarding. Different doesn't mean that we don't enjoy them. Different just means different. And so it's good. But I did want to allow anyone an opportunity to share maybe a testimonial of a time of engagement where maybe you felt overwhelmed and your child or someone you were working with was grateful, and it just caused your heart to melt and make you feel like, man, this is why I do what I do.
Hello, praise God, everybody. This is Auntie on Pastor Soretta.
Hey,
I'm so
Auntie.
blessed to be a part of the support group today. I don't have, personally, a child that is neurodivergent, but I work with the population a lot. I have a heart for anyone who is challenged with something that they didn't expect. And in my serving in my community, sorry about that,
It's okay.
serve in my community, I work with 26 children, and 7 of them was autistic during the time I'm serving lunch. And one of the things that stood out to me was one of the parents, um, I actually she trusted me to take her daughter, she's like 4 or 5, downstairs to a table where I had crayons, and I was doing a activity with everybody that was to say, see something good in others. This is how we help each other, seeing good in others. So it was a challenge from the Archdiocese. So she was down there and she was coloring. And so then when mom came down, she looked at me and she said, I can't believe that she's sitting there and that she's away from me, and I can trust that, you know, I can trust that, eventually as she grows, she can be with other people and I don't have to worry. Because one things that I found that everyone that has children that are autistic or in anywhere in the neurodiverse community, there is a stigma, there is a pain, there is a misunderstanding that people will think it's their fault. What the child is doing is neurological. They're not acting out. This is behaviors that come along with the neurodiversity. So I was just like, so, I mean, she cried. She cried and I got to pray for her, and I gave her a chance to just breathe, because sometimes they can't breathe.
Mm.
Sometimes they are so inundated with trying to, like you said, meet every need and never saying I'm overwhelmed, and never having somebody to understand what it really means to have a child that has a special need and to enjoy them and to be engaging with them. So it's a part of my mission. And that was birthed that day. And from
Wow.
that point on, every activity that I do, everything that I have, I reach out to trying to get information from those families that have children with neurodivergent issues. And I want them to have a support and a place where they can say I'm overwhelmed, and what
Mm.
resources are available to me, even if it's just saying I'm overwhelmed, and
Yeah.
can someone relate to me and have
Yes.
empathy and talk to me like you really, may never understand, but at least I have a voice to be heard. So just
Yes.
what you guys are doing, I'm just over here just sucking it all in, because
Mm.
my goal is to help somebody else. This Zoom meeting enables everyone to be a part. So you don't have to be in Delaware or New Jersey or Philadelphia. It helps us to engage each other on a platform that keeps buildings of brick and mortar from keeping us getting together. So I just encourage the two of you to keep it up, because what you're sharing is, there's no value you can put on it. And it's
Wow.
for undeserved population. There's so many
Yeah.
who are not being served when they
Mm.
really need the help. We're always looking to, you know, I just have a heart for those that are underserved. And I
Yeah.
think the population is underserved and unsupported. And I believe God will help me be a connector to bring
Wow.
in. So that's what I want to say. I wanted everybody to be encouraged on the line. Like you said, God has a place for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, no matter how special we are all peculiar and fearfully and wonderfully made.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I see how you are helping others to understand that that's something that can be celebrated, even if you didn't expect it.
Mm.
It's a blessing. All of us
Wow.
are a blessing. So that's it.
Wow.
Hi,
I love you guys.
hello.
Yes. How are you, Pastor Keller? Please share.
Good, good. I appreciate what the other sister had to say. Just,
Yes.
um, my thing was I put in the chat what was KJ's hobbies, and the reason why I put that in is because there's another gentleman that we used to work at in a previous church, and once he found a hobby that he really liked, he was able to occupy himself with that, and because he became really good at it. He
Mm,
a good artist, and he did it independently. You know,
mm,
so it was something that he did that he was good at,
yeah.
that he could be recognized for, but
Mm,
also it could give his parents a space, a
yeah.
break, because sometimes it does require a lot of energy when
Hmm.
you're assisting a child and has, well, we'll say divergent needs. So
Yeah.
that was just my thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. So, KJ is really athletic. So at one point he was in the Special Olympics. The only thing is helping him hone those skills so that he uses them at the time that they're needed. So for example, at school, like he runs to the point where it's like no one can catch him, like through the hallways, etc. But when we would go to the Special Olympics, he didn't necessarily feel comfortable running in that setting. So that was one thing. The other thing that KJ enjoys doing is that he's really good at dancing. And so we actually have a dance called Do the KJ. So at some point we may have him do that. But just really wanting him to have that freedom. I've actually been speaking to some of the people at his school, and encouraging them to like do a dance, because at like Izzy's school, his elementary school, they'll have a dance and they'll do like a glow party and the kids will be able to go and enjoy themselves. But at KJ school, they have one for like the seniors. So, I was saying, well, it would be cool if he could kind of get with his own peers and be able to do that as well. Um, and so yeah, I think we're constantly trying to tap into what he likes, like because his what he likes has shifted over the years. He does like water play, like I said. There are times that we've done, like we've worked with sand art, and we've like filled just like the little sand bottles, and you have like the different colored sand, and he's done that. So it's kind of adjusted over the years, but we're constantly just checking to see, what are his areas of interest. You know.
His Yeah, and that's normal for his activities and his interests to change. What I would say though is, if you want him to do something like to run in Special Olympics, you probably have to prepare him by where he's like running in lanes uh, against kind of other people, even if it's just like Jamar and myself, where we're running with
Yeah,
him,
yeah,
at a field, that
yeah,
has like the track and field areas, and then he
yeah.
can
He
get
did
used to.
improve. He
I'm sorry.
improved last year because
Uh-huh,
Izzy runs track. And so
uh-huh.
when he saw Izzy running track with his peers and I took him around, he began to run more
Okay,
methodically. So what you're saying is absolutely correct. I think when it's mirrored before him, it's easier for him to mimic. That's true.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much, Pastor Keller, and thank you so much, Aunt
Well,
Soretta.
I absolutely love you. Yeah, and
Love you too. Love you too.
I hope
Yes.
Brother Jamar knows I love him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Love you too.
Yes. And I wanted to just give a shout out. The Pastor Soretta, who just shared beforehand, she's our auntie and she's amazing. And I think what she was saying, even just in her voice intonations, it causes for the children to be sensitive. And I mentioned it on one of these slides. Oftentimes, people who are neurodivergent are very sensitive, right? Sensitive to sound, sensitive to taste, smell, touch, all of these things, but they're also sensitive emotionally and intrinsically. And so if they can tell that someone cares about them or is concerned, they will immediately gravitate. And it's also the opposite, that if they can tell that someone doesn't want to be bothered, they know how to kind of put their defenses up. And I've seen it where KJ is able to, like, maybe it's a new worker and he is not comfortable with that worker. Soon that person is taken off of his case. They don't work well with him. Versus, like, there have been times that I've taken him to a new program, and like you said, Aunt Soretta, if KJ runs to that person and he's not cleaving to me, then I'm like, oh, you're good. because if if KJ's not comfortable, he'll be holding on to me. It's like he's telling me I'm not comfortable with these people. When he is, he's like, bye, mom, see ya. Then I'm like, he's good. So you're absolutely right. When you're able to make them feel comfortable based upon the love and the nonverbal communication and the acceptance, their defenses go down because they believe that their needs will be met out of our absence. And so this community is so important. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, and so the next one is physical touch. We tapped into that a little bit. We talked about the tickles. I mentioned here the brushing, which can be implemented by your child or your young adult's occupational therapist. Oftentimes, they'll conduct an evaluation and they'll identify what their sensory diet needs. At one point, KJ was very sensitive, and they have like these little brushes. They're like therapeutic brushes. For those of you who may have questions about it, I can forward you some photos of it, but they're just really soft brushes. And we would brush KJ's arms. We would brush his arms with them, and it would help him to calm down. Sometimes he wanted deep pressure, deep compression. And so we would do like joint pulls, and it would help kind of like realign him. I guess it's similar to like us going to a chiropractor. You know, sometimes you just need that back adjustment, and it helps you. But that would be implemented throughout the day. So we would have to do it. We would encourage his team at school to do it, and it would help him relax. More so now, as he's gotten more mature, he doesn't want that, right? And so our children's needs change as they grow, and that's why it's important to constantly, have them evaluated, reevaluated, and see what their needs are. At one point, we were using feathers. It sounds weird, but we would use soft feathers. It would feel like a tickling feeling on his arms, but it would stimulate him. It would cause him to want to engage, and it would also help him to calm down. And we wrote down hugs. Hugs help. Hugs help. High fives help as well. High fives help. It's also reaffirming. And I also listed here rough and tumble. I sense that a lot with boys, but our girls can enjoy it too. And oftentimes you'll see that with boys where they just want that engagement. They want you to like flip them and put them on their back and all of that. And usually I'm like, son, listen, go to pop. Go to your male workers. I'll do that a little bit, but I'm not flipping you, son. More so when he was little, but they do enjoy that, and it causes, I guess it causes that release, like guys get from maybe like football or wrestling or basketball, like they just want that engagement, like a rough engagement. But it helps him. It helps him to relax. It helps him to decompress. Sometimes it can help him to release anger in a positive way. And so physical touch is a biggie. Yeah, and I put this picture here. At the beach. KJ loves the beach. We call him Mr. Sandman. It's like the I guess the sand is some form of healing to him as well. He loves the water. It dries his skin out, but he loves it. And maybe some of your special family members love the water as well. I don't know if anyone has input that they'd like to share about physical touch, but that's definitely a biggie for a lot of our special and neurodivergent people. Yeah. No? Okay. All right, then we'll go on to go ahead,
I can talk to the rough and tumble piece.
Yeah, I don't do that. I'm like, go to pop. Yeah.
I mean, that's something that's always been. I think when I met KJ when he was 6.
Yeah, he was like 6 or
years
7.
old.
Yeah.
And one of the first things he wanted me to do was just pick him up, and he would love to get on my shoulders. He would jump on my back. He wanted me to pick him up and throw him on the sofa.
And I'm like, wait, put him down. And Jamar's like, if you don't be quiet, I was just like tripping, but he was fine. He had him.
Yeah, but even now, I mean, mom did a great job with getting different supplies, with like the trampoline. He liked to jump on the trampoline. That was good therapy for him. The bean bags. Even now, mom has a big bean bag, and we have a crash pad that he uses. So sometimes he'll want me to throw him on the beanbag, or he'll throw himself on the beanbag. He'll throw himself on the crash pad. Um, so that helps. But even now, I mean, he was 6 at the time, and he's 16 now. He's gonna be 17.
Yeah.
And the other day, I noticed he's been trying to, when we play, he tried to creep around my back, and I'm moving, I'm spinning like, oh no, you don't. And he did catch me the other day. He jumped on my back.
Goodness.
So, but yeah, I think that's a part of our bonding as well. Just the physical touch piece. To him, that it means a lot. So it's very important to just make sure that he has everything that he needs when it comes to that. The joint compressions, and a lot of times he's very tense. His muscles are very tense, very tight. So I'll do joint compressions like on his shoulders, on his arms, on his muscles, and things like that, and that calms him down as well. Yeah.
And the next one is gifts. I wrote each person is different. Inclusion is more important than actually receiving gifts. Receiving special items that show that you pay attention to their wants and needs are what makes the gifts valuable. And so when gifts are personalized and when it shows that you pay attention, it can be a favorite color, or it can be maybe a food item, a snack item that they really like, or it can be maybe a fidget spinner or a fidget item that they really are able to connect with, and it helps them calm down. That becomes the thing that they really enjoy. One thing I've noticed with KJ is he really prefers the engagement probably over the gifts. But say, like, for example, around Christmas time, like, he enjoys being included, right? And so when he sees other people receiving gifts, he's kind of like, where's mine, So that whole component of inclusion, and just even special days, like for his birthday, he doesn't really like a lot of attention. There's several times that I've wanted to give him like a big party, and Jamar would have to ask me like, okay, is this party for you or for him? Because I'm like, I want him to have a party because that's what people do, and he's like, but he doesn't like that kind of attention. So I've had to scale back and say, that's okay. We'll just do something, amongst ourselves, and we'll just like take him to a water park or something. And that's what he likes. And so when we tap into what they want and, not try to live vicariously through them, like I've done, it just makes for a better outcome, and they're able to enjoy it. So yeah, I would just say personalize their gifts to be things that that they'll like, especially. Yeah. Did you have anything on that?
Well, I mean, I think we've been, mom buys a lot of gifts because KJ, a lot of the stuff that we give him, he's very rough. He's hard on things, so he's going to test the integrity of it, and he breaks a lot of the stuff. So, mom is constantly giving him different things because she said that maybe this will work. This is a good idea, and then when it explodes, it becomes a mess, and it's all over the place. We're like, that wasn't a good idea,
Yeah.
but mom's going to keep trying. So, I think it's a learning process, and like a trial and error, to see what he likes and what he don't like. I think even down to the straws that he has, he has straws. He loves straws. When you give him straw, he needs every day. He asks for them, but we found that he actually likes the bigger straws as opposed to using the thin ones. So yeah, I think it's a trial and error thing.
Yeah. And I just wanted to tap into some of the points that we mentioned earlier. And they were patience, understanding, and empathy, and accountability. And so I think the message of patience just communicates that I want to move at your pace. And what I found is that in my impatience, right, that I've tried to move things along, and it just upsets the whole day. Like, it was upset the whole day. So I have learned that it is better to just allow for our children, neurotypical, but especially our neurodivergent children, to just allow for them to work at their pace so that they're able to kind of feel like they have some level of control and to kind of work with them, kind of like this is a partnership. It works a lot better. And even as I see, for example, like with KJ's ADLs, with his assisted daily living goals, he's able to work on fixing his bed. You know, even with his right hand arm anomaly, he's still able to fix his fitted sheet. He's able to organize his teddy bears. He's able to put his dirty clothes in the dirty clothes bin. So I like allow for him to be independent in those areas and try to have enough time that I get up in the morning. Sometimes I'm not the best, but try to have enough time so that I'm not rushing him, right? So that he's able to do everything at his pace and get on the bus and not be rushed. And so that's just a thing for parents, right? To not rush so that our children are able to kind of breathe. If he feels like if I'm anxious, then that causes him to feel anxious and he begins to tense up. But if I'm calm, then he's able to sense my calmness and kind of flow at his own pace and feel that. Um, and so I talk about that there's an increase in humility as we apply a level of patience in caregiving. And it causes us to recognize, you know, that we're not always in control. Like we have to allow for our children to kind of autonomize and self-actualize, kind of be independent, have their own space, like Jamar was saying, and just help and guide where needed. The more independence that they can have, the better, because that means that they'll be better when they're not in our presence and they'll be able to initiate and do things on their own, which will help the people who are helping them. Like, oh, this is great. Like he does that by himself. Wonderful. You know, he used the restroom, flushed the toilet by himself. Great. He washes his hands by himself. Like it becomes a wonderful commodity for them in their daily living. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I know it's almost one, so we're getting there. Just understanding and empathy. What I really wanted to emphasize here was I feel you, right? Neurodivergent people tend to be sensitive and oftentimes can feel the attitude or the heart of a person non-verbally. Connecting with them intrinsically creates healthy bonds and trust. And that's exactly what you were saying, Auntie. Pastor Soretta shared this earlier that, you know, this girl was able to attend to an activity and be calm outside of the presence of her mother because she sensed that Pastor Soretta, that she was empathetic, that she understood, that she cared. She didn't really have to say it. She showed it. She showed it by giving her space, by giving her opportunity, by tending to her. This young lady felt comfortable, and her mother was in tears saying, wow, like her responding that way spoke volumes. And so when our children can sense that I feel you, you know, if they're upset and we're tending to them or we're trying to help them, then it'll totally alleviate that anxiety because they know I'm not alone. Even though my mom is not there, even though my dad is not there, this person cares about me, right? And I can sense love from them. So that means I can relax. That means that my need is going to be met. If it's that I'm hungry, if it's that I have to use the restroom, if it's that I'm nervous, I feel lonely, I'm scared, like this person cares. And that means that makes the world of difference. Like a parent cannot ask for anything more than that, because the truth of the matter is that we're constantly troubleshooting, right? A lot of times we don't know exactly what KJ may need at different points, but we work through it. You know, he communicates with us. I want to say for the most part, we know most of it, but that 15 to 20%, you know, we're praying, we're asking God, we're asking him to communicate with us. And sometimes even those of us who are neurotypical, we may not know how to put into words how we're feeling at times. And so, but when we know that the heart of the person who's dealing with us has our best interest at heart, it's a game changer. It's a game changer, and it makes for a peaceful outcome. I mean, when KJ started attending transformation school, it was very rocky. It was very difficult. Now he's responding more effectively. On the bus, they respond really well to him. They have his worship songs on when he gets on there. They're very attentive to him at the school. Like we'll hear an incident maybe here or there, but before it was constant. And so it's because there's been a learning, a tapping into. Certainly there are professional skills that are implemented, but all of this that we're talking about, just the love language that he experiences, it just causes for his life to be better and for our life to be better because we get less calls and less interruptions. So it's just better. Yeah. Yeah. And just lastly, I just wanted to talk about accountability. Preparing our neurodivergent friends, family members, loved ones for independence makes their life easier. Teaching them manners, patience with others, as well as holding them accountable will empower them to make helping them less tedious. For example, if an autistic child is patient and grateful, it's easier to think clearer, to troubleshoot, to assist them more structurally and create systems that will last. We don't always have that luxury, but it helps them and their workers and their support team. And so that accountability piece, sometimes it can feel like tough love, but helping them to learn. Sometimes it can feel like a power struggle, particularly if my son wants to tantrum and I'm saying, no, you can say please. No, you can say thank you. Nope, you can wash your hands independently. You don't need my help. And he just wants me to do it. And I'm saying, but I know you can do this. I'm sorry, I forgot the N in accountability. But I'm saying I know you can do this. And sometimes he'll just relent and do it. And I'm like, good job. And so sometimes we just need that coach to say, I know you have it in you. It would just be easier for you to tantrum and for me to just give in. And I know that you have a special need, but if there is an area that you have mastered, that you have the capability to do, I'm going to allow for you to do that thing. Yes, Auntie, I'm going to let you speak. I just
I
wanted to
just,
thank everyone because it's 1 o'clock. So we can go a little bit
no,
over,
no, this will
but
take all of 30 seconds.
oh, okay.
Every family that
Okay.
all the children, we do the same thing. There is
Yes.
no difference when a child is accountable. There is no difference when a child feels love. There's no difference when we have to set boundaries. And what makes
Mm,
us think because you're challenged more that should be let go. That
yeah. Yeah. I
same
thank you
love.
for that, Auntie. Yes. Continue. I'm sorry. Mhm. Yes, no, I want to affirm what you're saying. I think what happens oftentimes is well, firstly, let me just finish and then I'll open up and I'll stop screen sharing. I just wanted to thank everyone for your input. It was very helpful. We greatly appreciate it. I just want to say that we are going to be having our first Autism Healing and Empowerment Conference. It's coming up in April, which is Autism Awareness Month, April the 26th from 12 to 4. It is going to be located in Wilmington, Delaware. So for those who can travel, especially those who are in Philadelphia, we have some people coming from like other parts of Maryland and other parts of Delaware and maybe some from Jersey. We would love to have you come and participate. We also may have some people coming from Georgia and the Carolinas. So we're excited. It's going to be at City of Love Church at 226 North Walnut Street. It's right there in like Center City, Delaware, not far from the Fox Chase Bank and from the Philadelphia from the police precinct. And we're going. City.
Wilmington.
Wilmington,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Yes. And we'll be having speakers in regards to housing, occupational therapy, special education, as well as worship and healing that is available for our special people. We'll be serving lunch, and we're just really, really excited about it. It's not limited to families who are on the spectrum. If you want to come and support and learn and you don't have a neurodivergent child, that is perfectly fine. If you have a neurodivergent child and they have siblings, bring them as well. We want to just encourage just a community where we can share and grow. But Auntie, I really felt that the point that you made in regards to just holding our children accountable is not something that should be limited to children who are neurotypical, that it should qualify for children who are neurodivergent. I think what happens is, for example, KJ, I guess he could be a little manipulative at times. And so what would happen is when I would leave him with caregivers, they wouldn't know like his full capacity. And so they would be like fully helping him get dressed. And this is when he was younger. I want to say maybe like between ages 7 and 9. And they would be helping him like put his clothes on and all of that. And so I would come home and I would say, "What are you doing?" And they would say, "Oh, well, I'm helping dress him." I'm like, "KJ can dress himself." And so I'd say, "KJ, put your clothes on." And it's like he'd be like, "Oh man, like you blew my cover. Like now they know I can do this. So now they're gonna hold me accountable." And so I think when caregivers know what the children are capable of, then they expect more. And I've had to do this several times, like even when he was in school, and I'm like, he knows his ABCs, he knows how to count from 1 to 20, but he wouldn't do it for them. And I think the people at school, they're like, "Oh, she's making this up," or maybe she's just, very optimistic. And I would send them videos. I'm like, "This is KJ counting, and this is KJ just saying his ABCs." And they would say, "Oh, wow." So they would like change his entire individual education plan because I was showing them what he was doing at home and how we were able to motivate him to do it. And so sometimes because our children can be demotivated, it's like, how do I motivate this child without, necessarily knowing how to engage them? And so I think that communication with parents and the support team, the educational team, the working team at home, the behavioral team, to really identify like what goals are we working on, what are they capable of, and what is out of their reach, like what is like unrealistic to expect from them. It creates realistic expectations and goals. Like now KJ is working on kind of vocational training. So we want to kind of help him with getting out into the community, being able to get a job. Well, elopement has been an issue in the past for us. So for me, if KJ is going to go on a bus with anyone, like I need to know where you're going. Like I'm very finicky about that because he's very fast. And if he gets out in the community and we're not there, I don't want them saying they can't find my kid, right? So now what they'll do is they're not ready to take him in the community, but they're monitoring how he engages at the school. They do things like, emptying the dishwasher, learning how to set the table, those types of things while he's at school. And before they take him on the bus, they have him walking out to the bus and knowing, okay, now this is the bus that you'll be going on within a few weeks or within a few months, but we're not there yet. So they'll take baby steps until he's ready to actually go into the community and go to the mall and be on task for like a field trip. So just so that I don't have anxiety, I'm like, before he does that, let me come with you. But yeah, so we're getting there. So you're absolutely right, Auntie. As long as the expectations are realistic, then the accountability can be put in place effectively. Yeah. Yeah. At this time, the floor is open. If anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to share.
I just wanted to say my cousin Rose had to drop off, but she said that she really enjoyed it. I think she texted the chat too, but she really enjoyed it. So I just wanted to share that. And I also really enjoyed it because it really helped me reflect on the children the special children that I have been in contact with, plus, my cousin's son who I met this past holiday. So it's helping me like be more mindful with how I interact with him because every special child is a different child. They're special in different ways. So this was very informative and I enjoyed it. So thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. We appreciated her input, and I just give kudos to you and everyone on this meeting, because as we are willing to be educated and share and grow, it's an act of love in and of itself, because you're saying, I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to be proactive, as opposed to just saying, I don't know. And that's not my problem, right? When we're willing to say, I am my brother's keeper, and I want to do a good job doing it, it makes the world a better place. So just thank you guys for your presence and your active involvement. It makes a difference. You're welcome, Pastor Lisa. You're welcome. Yeah. All right, everyone. So if all hearts and minds are clear, did you want to share something, honey?
No, I just thank you guys for joining us and assisting with helping the world, helping our neurodivergent community experience a better world. Somebody cared about us,
Mhm.
so we care about them, and I believe that that's the will of God. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And just one other thing is that, some of these sensory areas, I think as we identify those who have neurodivergence, sometimes we can see some overlaps in and of ourselves, where there might be, I have a sensitivity in this area as well. And so I think as we cater to the needs of people who have a level of neurodivergence, we're able to recognize some of those areas in and of ourselves as well. So. And thank you to you as well, David. We appreciate you. Yes, thank
Guys,
you.
just quickly, I am going
Yes.
to be a part of a symposium that's being done by Jefferson Hospital, and I'll give you guys, which is on biophilia and neurodiversity. And that's going to be in March. So they're going to have two. One is going to be March 27th and March 28th. And so I'll make sure you guys get the information. And all I can say to God is, you would have me to have 15 minutes to say something in an area where my connection is love. I'm a connector. And whatever God's going to do, because he doesn't put anything before us that he doesn't want us to do anything about.
Mm,
So
mm,
when I became aware of it, when he struck my heart with it, all I did was move to say, who can we connect to and who can help? And that's all we need, is a willingness to
Yeah.
see it
yeah.
from another perspective, to be
Yeah.
able to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes for 1 minute. I can't imagine 1 minute, and I have 6 children grown,
Yeah.
for 1 minute to see how, what it takes to deal with a child that has neurodiversity. So
Mm.
I was like, I guess we all have our own little neurodiverse stuff. Nobody had touched me.
Forgot
And
about that.
You have well spoken, Auntie.
but I'll keep you
Indeed.
guys informed, and I'm also going to try to bring more support to this group, as well as to see if we can get something going in Philadelphia, with the support of the Autism Center from Jefferson. I sent her your link. I sent her to be on this link. I sent it to some of the other people who are in the city who got blasts and have ways of connecting. So don't think it's strange, because of the ability that you have and the love you have, and experience that you have, that God's going to elevate that and put it on a platform where other people can really learn from what you guys taught today. I'm just proud of you guys. I'm just proud of you guys, and I'm always here supporting you and pushing you up, because we all have something that we're called to do. And you guys are called to do this. It's evident. Mhm. So thank you for inviting me, and I'm glad I made it. And I was dialing in the wrong number. So when you see my panic attack thing saying, "Hey, I got the wrong number," all I had to do was put my glasses on. I love you guys.
Sure.
I made it. I made it.
Thank you, Auntie. Well, we want to say thank you to everyone who came. We will be resuming next month, the second Thursday in March. So please stay tuned, and we'll soon be selling sweatshirts, KJ's Genesis sweatshirts. We'll have them in white and in black. As the weather warms up, we'll have them in yes, we'll have them in t-shirt form. So please be aware on social media outlets, Facebook and TikTok. I will be just sharing that so that we can fundraise and try to make our efforts excellent, and efforts that people would enjoy and consider to be excellent. Okay. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.